Alright, hey everyone, Silverox is here. A couple days, well, more than a week late on making this, but I got sick again, so I took a little time out. Sorry about that. Um, so this is just a kind of a short video I wanted to do, and also show some clears that'll make it a little bit longer at the end, but the tutorial parts now of just kind of explaining Rainbow, because I've seen a lot of people explain, wonder, what is Rainbow Team, what is this, what is that, blah, 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 it's crazy. Well, this is Rainbow Team. An example of Rainbow Team. This is my Rainbow Team. Just a couple variations. I'm going to explain the key parts and the open slots that kind of have a little bit of freedom with to make work. This is not going to cover A4s and all that stuff because you're just going to use the best accessories that you have. This really, the Rainbow Team matters on the units more than the A4s. The only thing that matters is for Lynette EX right here. If she's not AU, then you do need an ult charge accessory. Otherwise, you can't get her ult to 200% on turn 1. It's just not possible without an ult charge accessory. But other than that, it works. Yeah, sorry, yeah. So if you don't have an ult charge A4, a single 100% enough to then the 3 BP with a pet get her to turn 1, 200%. That's the only requirement of Rainbow in terms of accessories. Everything else can work, even if you don't have any A4s or anything. That's good. So don't worry about the fact that I have A4s on a couple of things or whatever. That doesn't matter. And just as a reminder, Temenos A4 and Octopath EX A4 both have ult charge accessories. Temenos with 100% and Octopath EX with 200%, and both are shardable. So just keep that in mind that anybody can do this if you have Lynette EX. And so yeah, I'm going to explain all the units one by one, and that way you can plan. If you want to get Rainbow, you can plan to get the reruns and stuff, whatever you want. Okay, so the number 1 unit for Rainbow is Zerk. When he was released in January, I saw his kit the second it came out, and I was like, yeah, this dude's broken. Some people are like, nah, he's not. I was like, no, this dude's insanely broken, and shocker, he is. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing this game for 4 years, so I kind of know a thing or two. Crazy concept. But yeah, this dude's insane. Just absolutely insane. The reason why he's the most insane unit for Rainbow is, well, because his EX skill's crazy, but is because of this. Is that when he's in the front row, he triggers follow-up attacks for every single element. So if you do Rainbow attack, which Rainbow is doing every element, he's doing 6 follow-ups. And the craziest part too is the follow-ups come from him, no matter who attacks. So that's even better, because then if you stack all your damage cap up on him that you have, every follow-up is going to be using his stats, his damage cap, even if Lynette EX, who doesn't have the greatest magic attack and all that, does her EX skill to do 1 of each hit of element to trigger 6 follow-ups from Zerk. Every single follow-up is going to be using Zerk stats and do insane and potentially do 900k to 1,000,000 damage depending on what your damage cap is or whatever. That's crazy. I don't really need to. This is not like a unit review. You can look at that up. I mean, he buffs himself with things like this. He has a little bit of. He has the annoying RNG of his EX skill, and Rainbow does need 3 scholars, so that I'll cover that in a moment too. So you might have to reset fights if you don't get the RNG. Sorry, you lose 50k and some potency. It sucks. So you just restart the fight. Most of the time, you try to do this as early as possible in fights, so you don't have to worry about it. His ultimate's really, really strong, and the reason that he's really good is because he does a 6-hit, follows it up 6 times, and then on the turn of break, or the second turn of break, he's done his TP skill and set that up for another 6 hits. So that's why he's really good. If you have extra time, or if you're you're not going for super speed clears, he has the ability to buff the entire damage of the front row by 30%, which is really good. And then if it's the second turn of break, what he does is he ults. And then on the second turn of break, you'd use this to do 1 of each element and 6 hits. And this is also plenty strong. So it's fine with all his buffs. So yeah, he's the main man for Rainbow. You stack all your stuff up on him, give him a really strong magic pet, and... Alright. Second man of Rainbow is Oswald. So Oswald is a unit that on release was NJP and then in Global for a while too, which is kind of whatever. Magic sucks. There's really no need to get him or use him. So we were wrong because we didn't know Zerk was coming. So he's really, really good now. He only does 3 elements, but he was the original follow-up attacker of only 3 elements. And that sounds bad, but considering that you want to be stacking follow-up attacks like crazy, those 3 follow-up attacks matter. And they also give him a little bit of buffs, and now he's a little bit of damage cap. They made his ult a lot better. And yeah, his follow-up attacks are really strong. So why is he good for Rainbow? Is because the 3 extra follow-ups for Fire, Ice, and Lightning are really, really good to do. He's very good at being strong, at like just doing damage. And he just gonna do 6 hits with this attack, 9 hits technically because it follows it 3 times, and then triggers up 3 follow-ups from Zerg, which are all really strong as well. When TP2 comes out, this will be 9 hits because he'll double cast it twice. He triple casts it and then follows it up, so it just gets better. They also buffed the potency a little bit. Thanks, NetEase, for that. The main thing, they also buffed his ult, so he actually gives himself a lot of damage cap, BP regen, which means he can max boost twice, and a lot of self potency, so yay. And it lasts long, so 3 turns, that's really good. One of the underkey really good things about Oswald, though, is actually his EX skill. Because with his EX skill, with concentration, if you read right here, for a single foe, he can cap elemental defense and elemental resistance down by himself. That's really good. Like, that's really strong. If you're struggling to get debuffs out or wondering in your turn order and stuff, on turn 3 or onwards with Oswald, he can just take 1 turn and do it by himself. That's really good for Rainbow. Like, that's underrated. But, I mean, yeah, he has to be in the front row, but because of the follow-up attacks, he has a permanent slot in Rainbow. And the best part is, too, like, whenever it's time to buff himself, he can back surge his ult to give someone else a turn to go. So it pairs really well with someone like Aviette on turn 2 or whatever when she does the EX skill for someone else. And I'm going to get to that. If you need someone else to do debuffs instead or buffs, like, that's just really good. Alright, so Rainbow, and also you'll notice he's a Scholar. So let's keep with the scheme with the Scholars. Who's another person that's really good for Rainbow? Oh, well, look, Isla, another unit that was kind of seen as mid on release and is now really good. Why is Isla really good for Rainbow? Well, it's not necessarily for the skills. Sometimes it is used. It's this. It's the ult. The buffed ult that NetEase gave Isla. Well, I guess actually Global did it first. Yeah, I know. We got this buff in Global. This wasn't a NetEase one. This was Square Enix. Actually, well, all the buffs might be Square Enix. Now that I think about it, the NetEase does it. I don't really know who does the buffs, honestly. Anyway, this is insane because the original Isla ult was raised elemental attack and elemental damage by the same amount, yes, but it was just to the paired ally. That's it. That's why it lasted 4 turns. They made it all allies. That's crazy. That's why it's so good. That is 30% ult attack up, 30% ult elemental damage up by himself. Isla's a dude. And you can back surge it. That's crazy. Yeah, 20 extra K damage cap and passive attack, magic attack to 50% is great. But that's insane. And yet you want to usually I pair him up with Zerg because that way if you ever switch places, he raises 20% passive magic attack on Zerg, so it gets into 50% for free. Like, it's really good. And if you can get away with a turn of this, you can do this to give Zerg dead aim and cap his elemental attack and elemental damage to Zerg by himself. This is a really good EX skill if you have an extra turn. And then the other thing I would say about Isla is depending on your clear rents, and then Isla has the ability to give BP to everybody. If it's like a longer clear, you can do this in 5 turns from the turn you cast it and get BP. So situationally, depending on how long your clears are, this isn't good for speed clearing, but this might be good for like other people that are a little bit slower because they don't have all the A4s and stuff. Like, this is really good too. And I mean, Isla can also just do a bunch of debuffs and stuff for fire and lightning, so there's the use. Another good skill, I don't have it shown here, would be this one. All allies have elemental attack, and if they're a scholar, they get some damage up, but that's not, it's really just for the elemental attack, potentially. But Isla being a scholar allows, the 3rd scholar allows Zerg's EX skill to work, and it's just a wonderful pairing for Rainbow. So then moving on to the last DPS slot of Rainbow, it is currently Lemaire. This will be replaced by Rulon. Just because Rulon is better than Lemaire, but Lemaire's still really good. This is a general pull unit that got giga buffed by Zerg just existing, because before Rainbow was kind of a meme, and now you have this ability that when she got 6-star, she double casts it, so this is a 12 hit of 2 hits of each element, and it's like, well, each element, that's kind of bad. Well, Rainbow exists now, so Zerg's gonna follow this up 6 times, Oswald's gonna follow it up 3 times. That's crazy. So, yeah. Also, this is a discount. Also, Lemaire can also take the place of Lynette EX if you don't have her. because Lemaire's EX skill does implant one of each weakness. It would sell as 10 statuses or more, which you can set up to have at the beginning of battle, so you can use this with Setzer to lock all the weaknesses too. Just keep that in mind. Lemaire is a discount Lynette EX. It's just Lynette's way better. You can get less hits and do a lot more damage if you with her ult too if needed. That's the main thing about it. On a round I actually use the skill for AoE clear to survive because of the defense buff, but this is the main winner right here because it's 12 hits and it's really good for shaving shields. But like I said, it is very good, triggers all the follow-ups. It's just that she gets replaced by Rinmon because there's not enough space to have them all. Alright, so then following up on that, let's move on to the linchpin of the whole thing, the Setzer Lynette EX combo that you've heard a lot about, I'm sure, and people told you to pull. So we'll start with Lynette. If you didn't pull her, that's why I recommend on a redo. The main reason why is that she has her ultimate, which you want to instantly do on turn 1, and if you look at the initial gauge, I do have AU, that's why it's 70%, and I can do it with 3 BP with the pet. If you don't have AU, then it's only 35%, and that's just not going to be enough to get there with the pet, so that's why you need an ult charge accessory. So that's why I just wanted to recommend that. But yeah, you can see what it does is for all foes get 3 stacks, 3 implants of every single weakness, and lower the elemental resistance by 15%. That might end before its time, but you can extend it to 5 turns if you have a debuff extension accessory or stare use a cosmic dagger, which I recommend on her. So why is she really good for Rainbow is this. And it's also because she has if she's the one that breaks, she lowers elemental resistance by 10%. So she's also a really good Rainbow breaker. This is the real reason too, is now that you can also unlock all her passive buffs because Setzer can lock her implants. So now she's going to passively raise the elemental attack by 15% always, their damage by 15% always. She's going to give everybody the ability to crit with magic if they couldn't already, and give them 50k damage cap. And, well, this one doesn't really matter if Isla's there, but it, actually, no, wait, I lied. This is active magic attack, not passive, so this also allows you to get your active elemental attack to 50%, which is even stronger, because this goes well with Isla, because Isla's is passive, so ignore me there. Also, while Lynette EX is really good, just if you look at her skills, I'm not going to show all of them, but she has a 5-hit of every single element. It does some sort of bonus effect, so she can do a lot of damage, trigger 1 follow-up of a single element to help shave shields. She can buff the entire front row with this, and she can buff all allies with a countdown skill. It only lasts 2 turns, so you'd stack it within the skill so it stays extended and gives them 1 BP. But you can have this land on the turn before break. The BP is not going to help, but this gives them 30% magic attack if you time this countdown skill as well. Potentially, if you max boost it as low as 3 turns away. So this is actually a really good skill too to get her up to her, because she can actually get to active 50% magic attack by herself if you really wanted to. And then when you're trying to do damage on break, even if she's not the highest damage dealer, she just uses the ZX skill, and she's doing 1 hit of each element, which, you guessed it, Zerk is doing 6 hits after, Oswald's doing 3 hits after, and there you go. Another reason why to get the elemental attack as high as possible and share damage cap around is, I did forget to mention, I apologize, Oswald's follow-ups actually are triggered by the unit that's attacking, they don't come from him. So they're going to use whoever's attacking stats. Zerk's come from him, Oswald's comes from whoever's attacking. Alright, so that covers Lynette. Let's go to Setzer. So Setzer is pretty much the EX skill man. Turn 1, EX skill with Lynette back surging. Boom, all weaknesses locked, instantly. And that's crazy. It gets better. Actually, because like every single turn, he's gonna just drop in 2 extra random stacks, which you think doesn't matter, but actually, with a little bit of luck, all it takes is boom, literally at the end of turn 1, something's gonna be at 5 stacks. Starting turn 2, he's gonna debuff the enemies, 20% damage down, and 20% attack down on starting turn 2, and starting turn 2, they're gonna permanently have 20% elemental resistance down, passively. The thing that you normally have to break for with breaking accessories, no, that's gone. You don't need to do that anymore. Just have Lynette break, and you're good. Elemental resistance down 20% by him, and Lynette, you're done. Lynette breaks, you're capped. You don't need accessories anymore. You don't have to worry about breaker gear and Rainbow. Just have Lynette break. And if that's hard to do or that's not an option, if you happen to have Lynette EX3, which is a whale and dolphin investment, that also gives elemental resistance down passively. So you don't even need to have a break in that case. But I'm just saying, like, boom, you're just capped for free. Like, no accessories needed. Boom. Awesome. This is great, but it doesn't really... I'm not going to go into that. This is fine. But what really... And then if you want a little extra damage cap, if fire or darkness gets to 7 stacks, then this. When he gets TP2, he'll also grant 15% magic attack up, but that's not for like a year, so don't worry about that. The main thing about him is just this. In terms of actual skills that can be helpful, he can debuff their active elemental resistance or their active elemental defense. So those are the two skills I'll slot with him if there's an extra turn that's needed, just so he does something. But a lot of the times, he's doing his EX skill, and then he's just going to the back row, and the Lynette's doing stuff, just to be fair. But that's the overpowered combo there. Okay, so that gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slots taken. So you have 2 flex slots. Generally speaking, if you have Eviet, she's in every single team, meaning you really only have 1 flex slot. And that 1 flex slot for me is Edgar, or for a lot of people it's going to be Shauna to help them survive, because if you don't have like Ophi XA4 or other really good defense options, you might need Shauna's Undying to live. I get that. I get that. So a lot of people can't have the extra damage that Edgar would provide. You're going to use Shauna. And if you don't have Eviet, you're also using Shauna anyway. Aviet's insane for so many reasons. You can look at her review on my channel if you really want. You get her AU and you just ult, EX skill, ult, and then starting as soon as turn 4 you can double cast the Divine Beast. Like, it's crazy. There's so many insane things you can do with that. You'll see what happens, but Aviet's just an amazing god tier support. Then I use Edgar, which, like I said, I don't really need to go into detail. You know about how Edgar works. I'm just kind of explaining the flex slots. I mean, I've seen people, you can put in an ult potency giver and for extra damage cap if you're not worried about survival, or if you're doing super speed clears. And like I said, Shauna, Signa. I mean, you can use Signa for ult debuffs. I mean, you got kind of options here. It's just I kind of recommend you doing that. Rondo EX is a really good option too. It gives you an ice attack follow up, and he can do like his 100k damage cap EX skill if you have time to throw that out on all allies. So that kind of just gives you the idea of how Rainbow works. And I know this kind of went in depth, but I kind of wanted to give an in-detail explanation about that, about how Rainbow works, and then I'm going to show it practically in action with the coming up with the Kagemune EX3 and AoE EX3. I'll kind of explain that. I'm not going to explain the team building involved for that, because that's really complicated, because yes, in order to kill them that quickly, you do need a lot of damage cap A4s and stuff, and I had to speed tune the fights very specifically. Like I said, so if you stop watching at this point, that's fine. Thanks for watching. This is just the core Rainbow experience, and then like I said, Lemaire gets replaced by Rinlon when she releases. But I do want to show you the power of Rainbow, and it can get even stronger than the way I have it. So just let me show that here. And sorry about that, my phone always likes to show me things whenever I turn it, even though I turn it off. Anyway, 1 second. Alright, so yeah, here's my recording of Kagemune EX3 4 turn. This is just the old clear, so don't worry about that. This is going to go pretty quick, so I'll just try to explain it. But yeah, so don't worry about the accessories and the speed tuning that I did to make it work, but this is just showing how you can get really high out of Rainbow. Yeah, so... yeah, no, because I have a lot of stuff. I am using things to survive, but don't worry about that, because you can't speed clear, don't worry. So yeah, so turn 1, Isla's going to EX skill Zerk to buff him up. We're going to get 50% passive active in-depth down ready. And I'm going to set up to using a pet to get the EX ready to ult. So back surge ult into Setzer EX skill. And I am back searching Abby at turn 1 with Rainbow Collage to do a lot of shields with Kagemune, since you don't want to hit him with random target attacks. So that's also why Edgar came out, so Oswald doesn't do his follow-ups, because Kagemune counters if you do a random target attack and hit any of his dodges. Yeah, now he's locked and Rainbow works no matter what. There we go, got a whole bunch of shields, including 6 follow-ups. Giving basically 18 shield damage. And the speed tuning was set up so that way Isla would be last, so that way Zerg stays in the front row for the shield shaping purposes. At turn 2, we're going to have Zerg come back out and set up for his break turn, so he has to set that up. We're going to go back surge and ult with Oswald because he has a ult charge A4, so he's able to get his ult for turn 4, break, turn 4. And Scepter's going to do a little bit of shield damage and debuff. Yeah, buffs everybody and gets yourself more points. So that way she can also ult against. We're gonna put Chomp on. This pet stacking matters. Isla does have the accessory, the free to get artifact that extends buffs. So yeah. Oswald's EX skill is clutch because it caps MF down and active resistance down in one skill, which is very useful. And there we go. Into Lemaire doing another 18 shields with Zerg's help. Now we'll get Kagemune down to be ready to be broken by the Divine Beast on turn 4. And Lynette EX is actually just going to do a buff to help with active elemental attack up. One of the main things too is you don't want to overdo buffs, so notice I haven't done Island's ults yet because if you over damage Kagemune, you go into his Bushido phase. So that's why you have to be very careful not to do too much damage. And you can see Zerg's follow-ups already doing 300k damage. So like he actually gets really close to And now for the turn you've been waiting for, basically killing Kagemune EX3 in basically one turn after 3 turns of setup. And taste the rainbow. Add on the extra word as you see fit. And so yeah, as you can see, Zerg's follow-ups come from him doing that much damage, whereas Oswald's follow-ups come from Lemaire because they're using Lemaire's damage cap. Same thing you'll be seeing here with Lynette. And that's why having as much damage cap accessories as possible is very useful. Alright, yep, that's just a good showcase of rainbow damage. Could it be a bit better than that? Yeah, it could. But the whole point was just to show what you can do and why Rainbow's so good and why it is the strongest team in global currently. As you can see, basically almost 50 million damage in one turn, and it'd be possible to pass that. It's not currently possible to do enough damage to kill AoE in one turn, mainly because of the fact that 66 million damage is actually just a little out of bracket. It might be possible with the Sacred Hearts A4s, but it's also because she also debuff cleanses, which would make it hard to reach cap in enough characters. But either way, like I said, this is like the end game result. If you're building Rainbow, do not expect to do this. I am a very strong account. I have Dolphin the game for a while. I don't know and planned to get specific accessories and units. So just keep that in mind. If you don't have all these units, like I said, there are some, you know, emergency examples. Lemaire being a gem pool can replace Lynette EX to work with Setzer. It's not as good because you miss out on Lynette's amazing debuffs and it's not as many implants for to go with Setzer's passives, and you also miss out on Lynette's passives, but it's something that can work until she reruns. Like I said, there are backup options for like Isla and other things like that. You can use Neha instead of Isla for a weaker ult. It's only front row, but you can make it work since it's back surgible. But you have to remember, like Neha's not a scholar, so you have to make sure you do need to have 3 scholars in the team for Zerk to be able to use his EX skill, which is absolutely important. Like I said, Edgar's is a flex spot. You can use that for Sean if you need to survive, but I've been able to survive with just that yet with good planning, and I do have some better accessories that do help with that. But like I said, you can just, make it work, plan it out, and this is the future of global for now until random things change up. This will be the strongest meta for a very long time. Like even when the damage cap multi stuff like comes out with Noelle and stuff like that, Rainbow's still gonna out damage that probably. We'll see. Because like I said, there's other OT0 units that come out. Like Finn was potentially crazy, wasn't quite there, but it just shows that NetEase is willing to do potentially new things. So you have we don't know. They could buff random units. They could just change things. Just stay on your toes. But building Rainbow is not a bad idea. And this is just a really long, over-explained guide to Rainbow of how to set it up and how it works. And why it is very specific now that Setzer's here to finish it off. And then it just gets better when Runelon releases in a few weeks, months, or whenever the she comes out. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for everyone watching. Like and subscribe for more COTC content to come. All your support means the world to the channel, as I do try to do this full-time to make content in order to help pay for my medical bills and stuff, because I cannot work normal jobs due to my disability. So all support does mean the world. Do consider checking out the channel memberships if you'd like to directly support, because there is a tier that will let me, if you support on that tier, you can ask in the Discord for my channel for specific COTC one-on-one help support, and whenever I'm not sick, I'll be able to tune in and directly help you with whatever fight you're having trouble with in team building directly. So consider that. And otherwise, I'll see everybody in the next video. See ya.